Hello, beautiful friends. This is the Organizer Advisor here to help you enhance your happiness and transform your life. We are continuing our series on organizing our children, every nook and cranny cleaning their space. So keep working on that, using that compass rose strategy, focusing on one wall a day so you don't get overwhelmed, you don't get stressed out, and it's also good modeling for your children so that they learn good home caring habits. Today, we're going to be talking about games and puzzles for your children, and this could be a great opportunity to gather all of these items and plan a fun family game night. So, grab your hydration beverage and meet me back here while we have our motivational moment together as I share with you some tips and tricks on how to clean and organize all of your board games, card games. So grab your beverage, meet me back here. Okay, friends, I'm really excited about this because I love playing board games with my family. We used to have board game night. It's a great way to step away from the screen time, the electronics. It's great for family interaction. It's a night that we would have either pizza or lasagna or something that was kind of a heat and eat meal, and then we would have a dessert afterwards. But we spread everything out on the dining room table, and we were able to just to have that family bonding time together. Now, let's talk about cleaning and organizing these games. The first thing we want to do is gather. In my process of organization and cleaning, the first step is to gather. So get a bin, basket, laundry basket, or box, and go gather all of your board games. And then the second thing is, let's create a dedicated space. So just while you're doing the cleaning and organizing, be thinking about where would be the best place to store these. A lot of times it's in the entertainment center, in the living room or family room. Sometimes it's in the foyer closet. Could be in the children's rooms, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, so once we have all of the games gathered, let me show you how to clean and organize these. Now, this is Monopoly. It is probably the most disorganized game because of the little pieces and all the money. And you can see that with some of these things, it can get very disorganized. Okay, so if this is all spread out and just like kind of thrown into the chaos in the box, a lot of times that then creates a barrier for you wanting to play that game because it's too much work to organize it and set it all up. So when you have a game that has a lot of pieces, if we can structure the way it is stored, you're more likely to play that game if you don't have to go through the process of setting it up. That's just the reality I've seen. So for like Monopoly, I like to paper clip the money. I organize it. That way it's already set up in its little compartment, so that part's already done. Plus, it keeps everything together so that there's not chaos when you open the box. The anticipation of the chaos is enough to keep you from playing the game. You hear me? The anticipation of the chaos. When you have a box that's going to have a lot of pieces and you're like, oh, I can't even endure opening that and dealing with that chaos visually, you may not play the game. So if we structure the storage, you're more likely to open the game and then it's ready to go and get started. Now let's talk about the little pieces. In Monopoly, of course, we have tons of little pieces. This is Pokemon Monopoly. So you want to make sure those are all together. Now this has a little tray for them, but I also want to caution, these are huge choking hazards for little children. And when these seams break, you can already see this one is starting to pull apart. When they break, those pieces fall out. So I highly suggest, recommend, emphatically recommend zip top bags for your pieces. That way, if the box breaks, the pieces aren't on the floor where you may not see where they bounce to, and then they're not a choking hazard to small children and pets. Kind of like Legos. You want to contain them so that they don't fall on the floor and inadvertently get unnoticed, and then they become a choking hazard. Now, let's talk about cleaning. Of course, we want to make sure that our there's no germ transference, and we want to make sure our pieces are clean. And you don't have to do this every time, but periodically, I like to just go through. I check to make sure the game has all the pieces. If it doesn't have any pieces, you can't play the game. So keeping them together is actually going to extend the life of your game. But once in a while, I just go through and organize the games. Usually family game night, I pull out all the games, get them all set up, ready to go. Now, this is, of course, Listerine, my Listerine, which is a surgical, it was developed as a surgical sterilization solution. Surgical sterilization solution back in the 1800s. It became a mouthwash about 1950, 1960. So it's actually made with like alcohol and some herbs, and that's the regular Listerine, the old-fashioned, antiseptic. I don't use the mint flavored. I don't think it is an antiseptic as strong as this. This is an antiseptic, so it's going to kill germs. So I like to just put it in a little bit of water and drop my pieces in. Let them soak for a little bit. Make sure that they're nice and clean. And then I can just take them out and pop them right on a clean dish towel to dry. You can do the same thing with all the little pieces. These brightly colored pieces are actually really enticing for children to put in their mouths. So we want to make sure that they are safely stored, especially if you have, multiple children in the home that are older that may take these items out and they end up maybe not putting all the pieces back. So you may want to just have like a little session with your family and say, look, for the safety of the youngest in the family, we need to make sure all the pieces get back in the baggies. Okay, so these have just been sitting and I can just take them out. You want to make sure that you get them nice and dry so you can air dry them. You can pat them dry with a paper towel. I think I've got another. So you get the gist of it. Here's the little cards. I have a little rubber band around those. Now, we're going to talk about the board. Let's talk about cleaning the board. I'm going to move this over here. The actual board itself, I just, like I said, when I go through and clean and just double check, this is when I do my every nook and cranny clean. So if I'm every nook and cranny cleaning the family room, then I can check. Now you can clean this two ways. You can use your Listerine spray. You can actually use the Listerine solution and you can wipe down the board. Don't get it too wet because that interferes with the cardboard. Or another thing that you can do, and this is probably my least favorite option as far as toxicity, but if you use furniture polish, like a wax-based furniture polish, you can spray that on the board, and that's going to give a nice coating and protection to the laminated cardboard. So you can just wipe that down. That's going to sanitize. With the Listerine spray, you kind of sanitize the board, but this furniture polish gives it a nice coating to kind of preserve it. Now that's an option for you. Like I said, I like just the Listerine spray because it doesn't have any toxic residue. And, this wax, it's, just like on your furniture, if you use furniture wax, there's going to leave a residue. Now, the other thing I like to do, and this is just me because I'm all about things smelling good and being uplifting, is you can use your essential oil spray and you can spray the inside of the box just lightly. That way, when you open the box, it's going to smell so fresh and so inviting. It's actually going to be like, wow, that's just uplifting. That's just me. Okay, so I'm going to put all these little pieces back in here. These are nice and dry. So I'm going to pop them. These actually can go into a Ziploc as well if you have small children. And then, like when my new grandchildren come over and start crawling around, I will have, you know, baby-proofing everything, and that includes the board games. Okay, so these are pretty much dry. You can even use your hair dryer if you need to get them dry quickly and just dry them off. So pop them in like that. There we go. Now, that game is totally cleaned and organized. I know all the pieces are there. That's not frustrating, because when you go to have family game night and you open the box and the pieces aren't there, you're like, now we can't play and we've already set all this up. It's frustrating, and then it kind of creates a dynamic of frustration, which then can escalate into anger. And so this helps to make our family relationships a lot more positive. So I'm actually going to use this little spray. Like I said, you can use your Listerine spray. You can use a little furniture polish. And I am just going to wipe down the outside of the box to remove any dust, because these games do get dusty. And remember, part of our every nook and cranny cleaning is to remove as much dust and particulate matter in our breathable air. And so just wiping things down is going to remove. And there's a little bit, I don't think you can see it, but there's a little bit of dust on there. Okay, so that game is finished. We're going to talk about card games right now. This is the Minions. What I like to do with card games, because when you're missing cards, it's really hard to play a game. I like to go through and I like to organize them by their suites. So I just have all the aces together, all the twos together. And when I do that, and it's a really quick process to do, it's also a really fun game with your younger children, is to say, okay, grab all the fours. You can play concentration, and then that way you have a game that's actually going to organize your cards, and then you see if you have any cards missing. Because when you have missing cards, sometimes that does disrupt the game if it's a game that requires all of the cards to be there. Okay, so we have all of these different games that we can clean. I'm just going to wipe them down. I'm actually going to use the Listerine water just so I can get any kind of dust or residue off. And then that way I have that feeling of clean that's really uplifting. And it's just like, it's almost like I can't wait to plan a family game night now, because we've revisited all of these games and it's like, this would be so much fun. So here's Yahtzee. Let's go ahead, and you can see all the dice are in a baggie. I have all of the little scorecards in a baggie. I even have a pen so that I don't even have to go and try and find that. I'm going to spray the inside of the box so it smells good, and then I can replace everything. These, of course, can be washed in the Listerine solution. This can be wiped down with the Listerine solution. Just gives you a good, the psychology of clean is so positive. So it just makes you feel, there's this very settled energy. There's an energy of just like, it's a peaceful energy when you know something is clean. It's a calming energy, and it's uplifting. And that's what we're trying to create in our home environment for that soul sanctuary feeling. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Sorry. Now, something I want to mention on this, these brightly colored pieces, they look like candy to children. And that is very enticing for them to put that in their mouths. So again, I really strongly suggest that all little games and pieces be kept in baggies, because these seams on these boxes do break, especially if they're used often. Here are the cards. And that can just kind of create a dangerous situation if you are not aware that those pieces have fallen out. So it's just a kind of added measure of protection so that small children don't get a hold of brightly candy colored pieces and put them in their mouths and choke. So that's just something I've learned over the years by having children and teaching school. You know, I taught primary grades for quite a while, and, you know, I just watched children put all kinds of things in their mouth, and, you know, oftentimes you just aren't even aware that they're accessible. So I'm just cleaning the board. Like I said, you don't have to do this every time, but when you're every nook and cranny cleaning a room, it is nice to kind of just go through it and make sure everything is clean. Okay, so again, we're going to spray the box with a little essential oil. That's going to make that, when you pull that game out, it's just going to be, oh, that's so nice. And you're going to say, I'm so happy I did it. Trust me, you will. And let's go ahead and clean this. If you are missing pieces to the game, and remember I'm a de-influencer. I'm not going to say run out and buy a brand new game. If you can buy the replacement pieces online, it may be cheaper. Otherwise, if it's a game that your family really likes to play, then, you know, invest in a new version of the game. But for me, I like to try and extend and take care of the things that I have. I like to teach my children to take care of the things that they have so that it extends the life of the item and it saves money. Okay, so that is, oh, and I just want to say this was a new game thanks to my friend Tara who showed me this online. Haven't even played it yet, so I'm so excited to play this at family game night. I'm planning a pizza night, and we're going to do keto pizza for those of us that are on keto, and then a regular pizza for those who just want to enjoy those carbs. But we're going to do a farting Frenchie family game night. Doesn't that sound fun? Okay, friends. Now replace all of these items in your dedicated space so that you know where they are when you want them. Now, as you do your every nook and cranny cleaning of your children's rooms, keep an eye out for these little small pieces. And if you find them, put them back in the box, in the zip top bags, so that you can recreate that full game and all the pieces to it so that you can utilize that. All right, this is the Organizer Advisor, hoping that these strategies and suggestions help you enhance your happiness and transform your life and help you to create a sanctuary space that you call home. Until I see you again, I wish you health, happiness, and harmony. I'll see you in the next video.